Hello, listeners. We are your co-hosts, Janine Bailey and Marie Quigley, for the Empower World Coaching and Leadership Podcast. Empower World brings guests who are making a difference to the world to inspire coaches and leaders who lead with mind, heart, and soul. And hello and welcome, listeners, to the next episode of the Empower World Coaching and Leadership Podcast. And I'm really super excited to bring our next guest today, who's with me, Jayshree Kirtane. I hope I said that right, Jayshree.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
I'm really excited that you're here because we met quite a few years ago now. I think it was the International Coaching Week series of sessions that the ICF Pune chapter put on, and I potentially pronounced Pune incorrectly as well. You can please do let me know what it is. And I was very thrilled to be a part of that, sharing my experience, I believe, with the work that I did with Rachel Patero and supporting Maori women and Pacifica Indigenous women to become professional coaches. So that was a wonderful experience. And then based on that, you reached out to me to be a guest on your podcast, which I think was something like destination versus journey. You'll be able to, again, explain what it is when you do your introduction. And that was quite a few years ago as well. But I really, again, love the invitation to share my experiences. And then, of course, just recently, another ICF Pune chapter series called Roots and Wings. And it was about really tapping into the wisdom of the ancient wisdom that we are so lucky to still be connected to, that we can bring into our coaching. It can inform our coaching and inform us going forward. So that was a wonderful conference to be a part of. And hence my reason for reaching out to you to see what your thoughts and ideas could be for our podcast. And of course, we've had a little bit of a conversation, and I appreciate what you want to bring into our session today in relation to the dualities that coaches can experience. So Jayshree, I've spoken quite a bit now. I'd love to hand over to you to introduce yourself and correct my pronunciations, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you, Jayshree.
Thank you, Janine, for having me on your podcast, which I believe is a highly rated podcast globally. So I feel honored. So my name is Jayshree Kirtane, and you pronounced it almost right. Well, by education, I'm a mathematical economist. So proverbial left brain thinking for the first 10 years of my career, only logic, only cause and effect, only scientific reasoning. And then somehow I think universe decided for me that I stumble upon a meeting, which now I know was called a coaching meeting. I didn't even know that meeting was called a coaching meeting. I stumbled upon that meeting. And in that meeting, I really found an answer to the quest that I had held to my heart for last 10 years before that, saying, okay, I mean, this is okay, but I don't want to keep doing it for next 40 years. But what do I want to do for next few years, few decades? And I didn't have an answer to that. So in that meeting, I found that answer. And I asked the coach who later became my mentor, would you teach me what you are doing? And then he started really mentoring me first on psychometric assessments, and then facilitation of human processes, and then coaching. So coaching happened organically for me. I didn't start with an intention to become a coach. Coaching chose me somewhere along the way. So then all this happened 21 years back. So for last 21 years, I've been a facilitator. For last 11 or more years, a professional coach.
Yes, what a wonderful journey. And I didn't know that about you, that you were very much in this sphere of facts, hard data. And it certainly seems, having got to know you and appreciate how you show up, there's been a wonderful journey that you've been through to what I experience of you coming into your heart and into your body to be able to support yourself and support others. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And as I reflect that back to you, Jayshree, I'm wondering what else might be important to share with our listeners about that journey.
I think every stage of coach certification, while it came as a credentialing process, I think every stage gave me something. And while I started with every stage saying I want to create more value for the client, what I actually did was created more value for myself. And then in the process, the clients, I think, benefited and keep benefiting. And of course, journey towards mastery was, I would, rate that as my one of the highest experiences of becoming a person. And to quote Rogers, becoming a person and then, of course, becoming a coach. So I think I have experienced quite a bit of transformation in myself. I can't claim I have transformed too many people, but I can definitely say that I have experienced a lot of transformation in myself in that journey, in that process. So, and sometimes it may just feel hard. Sometimes it may just feel so convenient to slip back into the sphere of known and into the sphere of very clear facts, data analysis. But at the same time, I think my encouragement to all the new coaches, especially the people who are entering the profession, would be to to just keep at it. And at some point, it just gets so joyful that you would never doubt yourself.
Yes, beautiful. And of course, for our listeners, Jayshree is a master certified coach, and you were the former president of the ICF Pune chapter, yeah, as well. So you bring lots of experience in terms of coaching many clients, as well as supporting the profession of coaching. And it's wonderful to hear that you have, and I'm making this up, but really combined those two parts of yourself, the logic fact side with the heart, intuitive, empathic side, and so much more. So, and I guess that leads into what we were talking about earlier this week, and today, the the potential duality of what we as coaches might be experiencing for ourselves, but also noticing in our clients those things that can perhaps pull us one way or the other, and potentially finding that balance. So, Jayshree, love to hear. I'd love it if you could share what you were sharing with me in terms of those, and you used a beautiful metaphor as well. So yes, love to hear what your current thinking is all about.
Thank you. Thanks, Janine. And my current thinking and the topic that I would really like to share with you today has been, kind of an essence of what I've been um, thinking, reflecting, questioning, challenging, coming to terms with for last so many years. So the metaphor that I like to use is orange flames and purple flowers. Um, I think meaning thereby, of course, I'm sure each one of our listeners would have a different meaning and a different perception of orange flames and purple flowers. For me, what it means is the drive, the energy, the assertion, the moving forward and power of the orange flames, and the softness, the elegance, the dignity, the purity, and the vulnerability of the purple flowers. So, these are the two poles or dichotomies, or if you wish. These are the ones that came to me, in fact, when I was once, asked by one of my mentors uh, to think about myself, to visualize about myself. And this metaphor came to me for myself. And then I started dwelling over it again and again. And thing is that, logically speaking, if purple flowers go very close to orange flames, the flames are going to destroy it, right? And flames may not even care for what's the softness that the purple flowers bring. However, I think metaphorically speaking, I believe as an individual, as a human being, and as a coach, that it is possible for both these to coexist. And in fact, the coexistence itself makes the bond whole. If we had just the flames, the one would be just 50%. And if we had just the purple flowers, it's another 50%. But for us to be whole, for the one to be whole, for our coaches and our coaches to be whole, um, both these things need to coexist. So that's the metaphor I would really love to share with you and our
Mm.
listeners.
Thank you. A beautiful metaphor, and actually, the when you shared that, what came up for me was living in Australia, born in Australia. The threat of bushfires is always a scary one during particularly summertime, um, and what the damage that the fires can do as
Mm.
as a consequence when they come through for all sorts of different life. But actually, what it also does is it allows the germination of seeds that have laid dormant and regenerate the earth, the what's in the ground, what's ready to come alive. So it reminds me of that. And there's also a practice in parts of Australia where they actively burn off the every 4 years they will burn off the low-lying grass and scrub to do just that, to regenerate
Oh,
the earth.
God.
Mm. So that comes to mind. That comes to mind when you share that.
That's fantastic. Hmm. Wow. And in fact, yeah, that reminds me in India too. I think just before the new cultivation begins, they deliberately burn the ground.
Mm.
Somewhere it prepares for the new germination. Hmm.
Yes, and I did see that recently in South Africa as well. So it seems like it's all part of the cycle of life, the ending of something, the regeneration of something. So so Jayshree, as we journey into these metaphors, what's coming up for you in terms of those poles, those polarities or dualities? What's been coming up for you?
Right. So I'm sure there are so many applications, and I kind of live it day to day. And I'm sure many of us are seeing it for ourselves. But I think I would just maybe focus on 3, 4 points uh, which are more relevant to coaching and to leadership. Once again, as I mentioned the other day, most of the leaders that I coach are around, in their mid 40s, senior level leaders who have come there because of their technical strengths mostly, and certain strengths, of course. At the same time, I think what happens during the entire coaching engagement journey is that um, they are nudged and encouraged to discover the other side of themselves, which they've just neglected. They've not paid attention to it, and therefore they never knew it existed within them. So I think when I, kind of took stock of about 800, 900 leaders whom I have coached so far, I realized that this is what, in fact, we are doing through our coaching. That we are nudging and encouraging and helping in some way our leaders to really integrate the dichotomies. And balance is a word that some people like to use. Maybe that's the right word too. For me, I don't know, because for me, balance means a scale and where both these things are, equally balanced. Whereas in reality, in real life, when we are trying to integrate the two poles of a dichotomy, they never, weigh equally. In some situations, one is required more, and in some other situations, the other is required more. So I would therefore like to use the word integration than balance. Now, the first and foremost dichotomy that most of us, including me, struggle with is structure and creativity. So people who regard themselves as creative would say, "Oh, I'm such a creative person. I can't fit into the framework." And those who consider themselves as structured people, and structure has given them, of course, success so far, would say, "Oh, I'm not a creative person. I would rather, go out and hire some creative person from the market. Can't be creative." Even as coaches, and because I know only the ICF ecosystem, I do not know the other ecosystems that are also maybe equally good. So if you look at just the ICF competencies also, if you see, right, I mean, there is definitely a structure, and there is a contract, there is the ethical boundaries, there is a way a conversation is expected to start and is expected to end, and so on. So right, there is definitely a structure. But just because there is a structure, it doesn't mean that the coach is constricted by the structure. But to my mind, I think when we combine structure and creativity, we consider the structure as guardrails, as our helping frame, which helps us stay in the ethical and otherwise boundaries, so that it is ultimately beneficial to the client. And within that, it's a massive playground, and that is where the coach could be, at his or her creative best. So that's the one. That's one. I think pair of poles that I really encourage coaches to embrace, because mostly people start with too much leaning towards structure, and then suddenly the pendulum swings and they say, okay, let the structure go out of the window. I'm going to be creative. But fact is that only when we bring both together, along, we create the best value for a
Yeah.
client.
Yes. Yes, beautiful. And I absolutely hear what you were sharing earlier about balance. And and I love that you've used the word integrate. And for me, I guess I don't see balance as this. I see potentially someone's balance might I'm moving my hands so that they're not together. They're one's up, one's down. That might be someone's balance for them. Um, so yes, it's finding what works for them. And I really appreciate what you've shared about the ICF core competencies, and that's something that we hear quite often as mentors and trainers. There is that leaning to the structure, um, or there might be the leaning to I don't want to do structure. I want to do what comes naturally to me. Uh, but yes, when we have that little bit of structure, I really do believe the ICF core competencies have created that scaffolding or that those guardrails that gives us some sort of structure, but at the same time, as you said, lots of freedom to be creative, to really hone into our own intuition in support of our clients. So really appreciating what you're sharing here, Jayshree. And I also heard you mention the clients that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite typical, isn't it? Working with that leadership level, they've been taught, programmed to, work from. Again, I'm just pointing to my head for those who can't see. Versus listening to the whole self, working with the whole side, and then to be able to discover who they really are can be so enlightening when they do that work. So I'm wondering, Jayshree, I'll just check it. I have got a question, but I'm wondering what might be coming up for you. I just noticed.
I was just going to mention another dichotomy, if
Yes.
this is the right, I could, yeah. So just like structure versus creativity, I think another dichotomy that always comes up especially in leadership conversations, is kindness or compassion versus logic. Once again, people, leaders often think that if they are logical, um, then, they can't be kind. And if they are kind, that means they are going away from logic. So I think that's another dichotomy. And I don't think these are two things that cannot coexist together. In fact, I guess kindness as a base for all the interactions, if it exists and if it runs through your veins in your conversations, in your thoughts, then whatever your logic dictates, kindness would any which may be interwoven into that. You don't have to think separately. Should I be kind to this person? And this moment require kindness from me. I think kindness is not something that we need to, really think about and take decisions about. Of course, that's my belief that it is something that is like a lining to a silk fabric. It just strengthens and it just makes anything last longer.
Yes, absolutely. And what came up for me as you were sharing is that often our clients and ourselves, of course, because we're human, we make up these rules. If there's this, then this happens, or if I'm that, then I can't be that. So there are often rules that our clients ourselves will make up. So as coaches and leaders, we want to support our clients, our team members to look at, is that really true? Is it black and white? That happens, that happens. Or if I'm that, I can't be that. And so we want to, as coaches, support the people and leaders. We want to support the people that we're working with to be able to look at different perspectives and identify what could coexist, what could integrate, how that could be integrated. So I'm wondering, Jayshree, I don't know if it's an example or thoughts in terms of how you support leaders to integrate those rules that they make up or those beliefs that that they hold. Love to hear your wisdom.
But when somebody uses the word wisdom, I feel like a banyan tree. So, but yeah, I think one of the things, as you said, right? I think just asking these questions and creating that space for them to explore whether there is anything other than they already know of. So that is one. The other thing that I have also observed, and of course that is in my limited experience, but what I have also observed is people also create specific personas for specific spaces. So they have created a persona for their workplace, but it doesn't mean that that's the same persona that they carry in their bikers group or at home or with their parents. And therefore, sometimes integration of some of these thinking patterns also, finally goes down the path of integrating the various personas. So, a question about, what other personas do they also carry in other spaces? That question also helps. And the third, the other thing, Chilin, that I've also observed is presence is what we all talk about, right? And during any coaching conversation or coaching related conversation, the word presence always comes up. That's similarly a nebulous word. Most people can talk about presence, but it is very difficult to really say, oh, you do this and then you achieve presence. All right. So similarly, I think the leaders, although they may or may not be coaches or coaching leaders, I think presence is the important thing. It's just because they are not in the present moment with the other person, they are unable to choose wisely or they are unable to integrate wisely. Capacity to integrate is within us. What stops us from integration is our fear of, if I say this, what might be the consequences? Or our past experiences. So because we let our past experiences or our anxiety about future meddle with our present moment, we don't allow ourselves to integrate. So another way of I think working is just helping them attain their own presence.
Yeah. Yes. And what I'm appreciating is helping them develop that in the present moment
Yes.
versus going into the past, which is, you know, who they were in the past, very different to who they are right now in the present moment. And being in the present versus wishing about what the future might look like.
Hmm.
I think that's really, really powerful when we work with our clients in the present moment and with that principle that our clients are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole.
Yes.
But they have the answer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've rephrased what I said so much.
Thank you. Well, I'm just feeding off what you've been sharing with me, and but I also appreciate how you've brought in how we can put on these different faces for different parts of our life. Again, creating rules that we must be a certain person in a certain part of what we're doing, being, to be able to be successful. So really supporting our clients to understand who we authentically are. I'm trusting, um, can support our clients to then decide who they want to be in those different areas of their life that is authentic to them. That is their strength. So that and yes, I appreciate that, we do want to make some adjustments, but we want to bring in our essence, our authenticity, our strengths, our passion in every part of our life, I believe, to feel whole.
Absolutely. Oh, yes.
Mm.
That
And
makes it so easy.
yes. And so what I'm hearing, Jayshree, is supporting our clients to understand again their rules, their beliefs about who they believe they should be. I'm putting should in inverted commas, so that they can make authentic choices and integrate.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I think part of our role as a coach is reflecting back the rules, the beliefs that our clients are sharing with us, being the mirror and reflecting that back so that they can make choices that are their truth, based on their truth.
Agreed.
Mm. So, and again, what I'm gleaning from you, Jayshree, is really helping our clients understand those polarities, that our clients ourselves will experience, so that they can perhaps those truths can be challenged, so that they can make new choices to integrate.
Yes. True.
Mm.
True. Yeah, and also I think another thing that I must also mention here is another polarity, and which is kind of stemming from my recent studies of Buddhism, is also attachment, right? I mean, as a coach, for example, well, okay, as I like this, I feel that integration is the right way, and so on. However, if I get too attached to that concept also, right? When I become obsessed about it, and while I believe that's a that's a way to live easy life, all my clients, my colleagues, or my relatives, for that matter, right? They may or may not believe it, at least at that point in time. They may come to their own truth, to use your word. They may come to their own truth in their own time. And then, do I have the patience? Uh, do I have enough respect for them to be able to come to their own truth in their own time. So therefore, I think another polarity is also detachment and involvement. And that's something I think as coaches, that was one of the most difficult ones for me to really, integrate, because I used to get extremely involved uh, in my participants while facilitating workshops. And then there have been occasions when there was negativity amongst the participants. I had physically fallen ill because I interjected so much of it. Right. So involvement in our participants or our coaches, and also at the same time being detached, being able to uh, observe ourselves as we are getting involved, and I'll be crossing the boundary and getting attached. I think that's another polarity that I mean, I can't say I have completely transcended it, but that's something that I feel is essential for coaches.
Mm. I love that you've brought that in. And yes, I agree. It's something that's essential for us as coaches. And I'm just thinking of a recent experience of my own where there was part of me that knew to detach, but I still feel some attachment. So there's a potentially a wise part of me, um, the tree, I've forgotten the name,
Mhm.
that says detach. It's all perfect. It's all great learning. And I know that. I do know that on a level. But at the other time, at the there's another part that really um is concerned about, people's thoughts, people's or certain people's thoughts. So I and it's not helpful. It's not, I know it's not helpful to be attached to those opinions, and that I appreciate that I want to walk into that more wise space even more. So I'm going to practice that after this podcast. So thank you for bringing. Jayshree, I really thank you for bringing in some of these polarities that are important for us to be aware of as coaches, to be able to look after ourselves in service of our clients. So I'm aware that we're getting perhaps close to our time. I'm wondering if there's any other polarities that you believe are worth sharing, and if not, we can save that for another another podcast recording. Um,
There's just one that I would like to share, and that is about seriousness and humor. And a lot of people think that master coaches and masterful conversations ought to be serious conversations. I used to believe that, and then I used to think, oh my god! But I'm somebody who loves to crack jokes in any conversation, and then. Then am I worthy of becoming a master coach if I'm not a very serious person? But turns out, yeah, I mean, I was. So I hear again that as coaches, once again, if we take ourselves too seriously, if we take our role too seriously, oh, do I use this word? Have I asked a closed-ended question? Now what might happen? Right? Or if we take ourselves too seriously, that's also, too restrictive. And I rather just if we can just flow and let our natural humor peep in whenever it wants to, I think um, that's a pleasant experience for all of us.
yes, absolutely. And I and I guess that's what I was feeling as you were sharing, that joy that I've had every time we've caught up, and even in your email communication, I feel that joy, that lightness. Um, so I really appreciate, and I see all of those being very connected to laughter and having fun, because it does
Yes.
feel like fun. So, just like I feel like I'm having fun with you right now in exploring these polarities. So it can make such a difference to the energy in the conversation in the room, to allow different thoughts, perspectives to emerge when there is lightness.
Yes.
Of course, there'll be times to bring in that lightness, and there'll be those times to be serious. So,
Yes, of course.
Jayshree, as we wrap up our conversation today, thank you so much. I just want to check in with you what perhaps imparting words you might have for our listeners that you believe will support them.
Wow. Well, I'll just say one line, which is my favorite line. And I think coaching is love in a framework.
I love that. Love in a framework. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Thank you, Jayshree. I really appreciate your time with us and really helping, I trust listeners to realize that there will always be these many polarities. And it's when working with our clients, helping them to recognize those polarities, hold up the mirror, let them decide, is that truth or not? Is there something in between that black and white that will absolutely support them and support the people they serve? So thank you. And
Thank you.
listeners, if you enjoyed this recording, which I trust and hope you have, we'd love you to share it. And of course, Jayshree's contact details are on the website. If you'd like to get in contact with her, I would highly encourage that, as I know she's doing wonderful work. So thank you, Jayshree. Looking
Thanks, Janine. Thank you. Love you.
forward to seeing you in the future somehow, some way, somewhere.
Definitely.
Thank you, Jayshree.
Thanks for listening. You can find out more about us on our website www.empower-world.com and on our social media networks Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. Be empowered.